The moment the person sleeping beside you starts guarding her phone like it contains a second life you were never meant to see, something fundamental has already shifted. And if you ignore it, you may be the last person in the relationship to realize that the relationship you think you have is no longer the one you are living in. When a woman sits next to you on the couch, shares the same blanket, answers your questions, and even smiles in your direction, yet keeps her phone face down, clutched close, or angled away from your eyes as if a single glance would expose a hidden world, you are not witnessing a harmless preference for privacy. You are watching the construction of a digital boundary designed to separate you from the truth. Most men underestimate this moment because they still view the smartphone as a simple tool for messages, work, or entertainment. But in modern relationships, the phone has become far more than a device. It is a vault of emotional investments, secret conversations, private fantasies, and alternate attachments. It reveals where attention is flowing, where anticipation is building, and where emotional energy is being spent. And attention is the most honest currency in any relationship. When her attention begins to migrate elsewhere, the phone becomes the bridge between her physical presence with you and her psychological presence with someone else. That is why her behavior changes. The screen is no longer casual. It becomes guarded territory. Every notification matters. Every vibration carries emotional significance. Every moment of concealment is a small act of separation. While you sit inches away, she may be laughing at messages you never see, feeling excitement you no longer inspire, and investing warmth, curiosity, and desire into an invisible presence beyond your reach. You are physically beside her, but emotionally standing outside a locked door. What makes this dynamic so dangerous is how ordinary it appears. There are no dramatic confrontations, no obvious confessions, no immediate proof. Just subtle changes in posture, sudden defensiveness, strategic screen placement, and a quiet but unmistakable sense that part of her world is now inaccessible to you. Most men feel this shift but dismiss it. They tell themselves they are overthinking. They convince themselves that respecting privacy means ignoring their intuition. They choose comfort over clarity, even as the emotional distance widens right in front of them. But behavioral patterns suggest that when secrecy increases while openness decreases, the relationship is no longer operating on the same foundation. Trust is being replaced by compartmentalization. Transparency is being replaced by controlled access. You are given only what she decides you are allowed to see, while the most emotionally charged parts of her life are being redirected elsewhere. In this deep psychological analysis, we are going to dismantle the hidden mechanics behind this modern form of betrayal. We will examine the panic that appears when the phone is touched, the defensive explanations that sound reasonable on the surface, and the subtle positioning habits that reveal when a device has become a protective shield rather than a simple piece of technology. You will understand why secrecy around a phone often signals more than innocent boundaries, how digital behavior exposes shifts in emotional allegiance, and why the man who ignores these patterns risks becoming a spectator in his own relationship. Because the most devastating betrayals rarely begin with a confession. They begin with a screen turned downward, a guarded expression, and the unsettling realization that the person next to you may be sharing the best parts of herself with someone you cannot see. Stay with me, because once you understand the anatomy of the digital lockout, you will never look at just a phone the same way again. The first profound dynamic we must lay bare is what we call the gravitational flip. In the healthy baseline of a connection, a phone is an afterthought when two people are sharing a physical space. It sits on the counter, it rings openly, and its placement is entirely random because there is nothing to hide. But when a hidden connection begins to take root, the phone develops an intense, magnetic attraction to her person. It no longer leaves her hand. It goes into the bathroom when she showers. It travels to the kitchen when she pours a glass of water. It sits on the nightstand, inches from her pillow, positioned in a way that ensures her eyes are the only ones that can decode the screen. This constant physical guarding is an automatic response driven by the subconscious mind. The brain understands that a single accidental notification, a single preview text slipping through the lock screen, could instantly shatter the double life it is trying to manage. If you observe that the device has become a permanent appendage that she protects like a shield, her focus has already departed from the room. She is no longer keeping a device close. She is keeping her secondary reality safe from your discovery. This leads directly into the screen-faced protocol. One of the most universal behavioral shifts occurs in the literal geometry of how the phone rests on a surface. When a woman is completely aligned with you, the phone sits screen up, exposing its notifications to the open air because there is no penalty for transparency. The moment a hidden entity enters the equation, the device is systematically flipped upside down. This action is carried out with a quiet, practiced fluidness. It is a psychological block designed to eliminate the risk of a random name or an explicit preview appearing while you are passing by. If you question this habit, the standard defense mechanism is instantly deployed. She will tell you that she turns it over to avoid distractions, or because the lights disturb her peace, or because she is trying to be more present with you. Notice the profound manipulation of this response. She uses a phrase that sounds like a compliment to your presence to hide the fact that she is actively enforcing a boundary against your sight. The sovereign mind does not listen to the validation of the excuse. He looks at the consistency of the geometry. He knows that true presence does not require a physical cover-up. Think about the slow, agonizing mental prison of Caleb. Caleb was a dedicated logistics manager who believed that trust meant never asking questions that could make his partner feel monitored. He lived with Alana, a woman whose career he had consistently supported, ensuring her lifestyle was entirely secure while he managed the heavy operational details of their home. Caleb prided himself on his relaxed, non-intrusive approach to their shared life, believing that giving a woman absolute freedom was the highest expression of a modern partnership. Caleb became our tragic example because he fell into the rationalization loop. It started subtly. Alana, who had always left her phone casually on the dining table while they cooked dinner, began placing its screen down next to her plate. Then the passwords changed. When Caleb asked to use her device to check a quick weather update because his own phone was charging in the garage, Alana flinched. She didn't hand him the phone. She held it tightly, unlocked it herself, kept her body turned away while she opened the browser, and then handed it over while watching his eyes with a strange, hyper-vigilant intensity. When Caleb casually asked why she was suddenly so protective of her device, Alana reacted with a flash of sharp anger. She accused him of being insecure, of lacking trust, and of trying to control her private life. Caleb, desperate to maintain his image as the evolved, trusting partner, accepted her anger as a valid boundary. He felt ashamed for even noticing the shift. He spent the next year ignoring the deeper signs. He watched her smile at her screen at midnight, her face illuminated by the blue light, only for her expression to turn completely neutral the moment she looked up at him. He listened to the constant hum of vibrating notifications that were immediately silenced by her thumb. He allowed himself to believe her excuses that she was just dealing with difficult clients, or talking to her sister about a personal crisis. The emotional collapse came when Caleb discovered that Alana's phone habits were the fortress protecting a highly coordinated, long-term relationship with an executive from her past. The screen-down protocol, the password updates, and the defensive anger were all calculated structures designed to buy her time until she could exit the relationship on her own terms. Caleb was left functionally shattered, realizing that his grand display of trust was actually just a fear of confrontation that Alana had used to finance her deception. He lost his peace of mind, his time, and his dignity because he chose to believe her words instead of reading the physical evidence of her avoidance. He proved that a man who ignores a clear shift in his partner's physical transparency out of fear of looking insecure is simply volunteering to be the last person to know the truth of his own life. The fourth psychological pattern we must dissect is the hypervigilant notification panic. When a phone contains the evidence of a secret connection, its sound or vibration triggers an instantaneous spike of adrenaline in the unfaithful partner. You will notice that if her phone rings or vibrates while it is slightly out of her reach, she will make a sudden, unnatural movement to secure it before you can look at the screen. Her body will tighten, her conversation will break mid-sentence, and she will cross the room with an artificial urgency. This panic is the biological proof that the device holds a live wire. She isn't checking a message. She is intercepting a potential hazard. The sovereign mind recognizes this frantic movement for what it truly is. It is the action of a guard rushing to secure a breach in the wall. When a person is clean, a notification is a minor detail. When they are compromised, a notification is an existential threat to the illusion they are maintaining. We must also look at the customizing of the digital landscape. A phone that is being used for a secret affair undergoes a deep structural reorganization. Applications that were once used openly are hidden inside buried folders. Preview settings are altered so that incoming messages only display generic words like notification instead of the sender's name or the actual text. This is what we call the sanitization of the interface. The partner spends a significant amount of time configuring her settings to ensure that even if you happen to catch a glimpse of the screen, the data remains entirely unreadable. She creates a multi-layered security system inside a device that is supposed to exist within a transparent household. When a man notices that the notification banners have been stripped of their identity, he must understand that this is a deliberate act of engineering. A person does not build a complex vault unless they are storing something they do not want the public to audit. Furthermore, we must confront the shift in the timing of the connection. When a hidden relationship deepens, the timing of her digital activity will adapt to your schedule. You will notice a pattern where her phone usage spikes dramatically the moment you leave the room, when you go to the gym, or when you fall asleep. This is the opportunistic window. She is capitalizing on your absence to feed the secondary connection. If you walk back into the room unexpectedly, you will witness a sudden change in her posture. The phone is quickly hidden under a blanket, slipped into a pocket, or the application is closed with a rapid swipe of her finger. Her face will freeze for a microsecond as her brain attempts to transition from the high dopamine fantasy world back to the reality of your presence. This physical transition is an absolute indicator of a divided mind. She is living two separate lives, and your sudden entry forces those two realities to collide, creating a visible friction in her behavior. The fifth stage of this dynamic is the defensive purity campaign. When an unfaithful partner senses that you are becoming aware of her unusual phone habits, she will often launch a preemptive psychological strike. She will begin to accuse you of crossing boundaries, or she will tell you that couples don't need to share everything to be healthy. She will use modern therapeutic language to turn her lack of transparency into a virtue. She will argue that her phone is her sacred private space, and that your desire for open access is an act of toxic surveillance. This is a highly sophisticated form of inversion. She turns her deceit into an issue of your personal growth, suggesting that if you were a truly secure man, you wouldn't care about what is happening on her screen. If you allow this narrative to take root, you will find yourself apologizing for your natural instincts, while she continues to run a parallel life right in front of your face, shielded by the guilt she has manufactured in your mind. The reality is that transparency does not fear the light, but deception requires a permanent shadow. A woman who is fully invested in a sovereign partnership has no interest in creating digital border controls between her life and yours. She doesn't need to hide her screen, lock her folders, or panic when her device rings because her reality is unified. You are the foundation of your own home. If you accept a relationship where you are treated as a potential intruder who must be locked out of the primary communication device, you are validating your own demotion. You are agreeing to live with a roommate who has placed a digital padlock on her heart. You have to realize that this digital avoidance is never an isolated event. It is a calculated, day-by-day maintenance strategy designed to keep you pacified while the external connection is cultivated. The slow withdrawal of her physical gaze, the constant turning away of the screen, and the sharp, defensive reactions to innocent questions are all chapters in a book that has already been written. Stop trying to prove how modern and relaxed you are by ignoring the structural rot in your own living room. Most people react. Few people understand. If you're here to think deeper, not louder, you belong here. Subscribe, and stay with the ones who choose clarity over noise. Leave a comment if you're part of the conversation. Just awareness. The sixth major concept in the modern digital embargo is the notification anesthesia. When a woman enters a secret alignment, she doesn't just change her physical handling of the phone. She changes her internal relationship with time. You will notice a pattern where she becomes completely numb to the real-world events occurring around her while remaining hypersensitive to the silent vibrations of her device. She can sit through a dinner with your parents, a movie you've both wanted to see, or a deep conversation about your future, and her eyes will constantly drift toward the edge of the table where the device rests. This is a state of permanent distraction. She is physically occupying your space, but her mind is constantly checking the digital border for a message from the exterior world. The sovereign man understands that this anesthesia is a form of emotional abandonment. He doesn't beg for her attention, and he doesn't compete with a screen. He recognizes that if a person requires a digital pulse to feel alive in his presence, they have already checked out of the primary residence. This leads directly into the ghost archive protocol. In the modern digital era, betrayal has become highly sophisticated. It no longer relies on basic text messages that can be easily uncovered. It utilizes hidden folders, calculators that turn into secret vaults when a specific code is typed, and disappearing message settings that erase the evidence of a conversation 30 seconds after it is read. This is what we call the disappearing footprint. When a man suspects an irregularity and asks for transparency, the partner may confidently hand over her device, knowing that the archive has been completely sanitized. She will smile as you scroll through an empty call log and a harmless list of contacts, using your lack of physical evidence as a weapon to make you feel paranoid. The sovereign man does not become a digital detective trying to hack into hidden vaults. He looks at the ecosystem of the relationship. He knows that if a partner has to create an invisible infrastructure to prove her innocence, the innocence has already been compromised. Let's look at the absolute, unshakable recovery of Julian. Julian was a construction manager who ran large-scale structural projects where transparency and clear blueprints were the absolute law of survival. When he married Kira, a corporate event designer, he applied that same baseline of trust to his home. He didn't monitor her travel, and he didn't question her late-night client consultations. He assumed her blueprint was as clear as his own. Julian is the winner in our story because he understood the law of the immediate withdrawal. He began to notice a profound shift in Kira's device habits. Her phone, which had previously sat openly on the kitchen island, became an invisible object. It was always in her pocket, face down on her lap, or locked in her handbag. One evening, while they were reviewing a property document on her laptop, a localized cloud notification flashed across the screen. An explicit message from an unlisted contact that completely contradicted her schedule. When Julian pointed to the screen, Kira didn't confess. She instantly closed the laptop, grabbed her phone, and deployed the standard crisis script. She accused him of invading her privacy, stated that it was a spam message from a compromised account, and broke into a volatile display of anger to force him onto the defensive. Julian didn't argue. He didn't demand to see her phone, and he didn't spend the night scrolling through her application history while she slept. He stood up from the table, walked to his study, and took absolute control of his own emotional estate. He realized that the frantic anger and the physical guarding of the device were the final notifications he needed. He didn't need to read the text to know the boundary had been breached. The next morning, Julian executed a clean, systematic separation. He didn't give a long, emotional speech about her betrayal. He quietly met with a family law attorney, separated his primary financial streams, and arranged for a separate living structure. When Kira returned home and saw the structural steps he had taken, her defensive anger instantly collapsed into a panic. She threw her unlocked phone onto the counter, crying, begging him to look through everything, and swearing that it was an isolated emotional connection that meant nothing to her future. Julian didn't even look at the screen. He kept his eyes fixed on hers and said with absolute calmness, "Kira, I have no desire to spend my life playing the role of a prison guard. The moment you turned your device into a secret vault against my sight, you dissolved the trust required to sustain this partnership. I am not leaving because of what is inside the phone. I am leaving because you chose to build a wall where a window should have been." Julian won because he refused to negotiate his dignity for a peek inside a screen. He moved out of the property, focused entirely on scaling his construction firm, and dedicated his energy to his physical and mental performance. Within 18 months, his business had secured 3 major commercial contracts. His physical health was at an all-time peak, and he had established an absolute peace of mind that no digital notification could ever disrupt. Kira realized too late that Julian wasn't a man she could pacify with tactical tears or sudden transparency. He was a sovereign entity who valued his own life force too much to live in a digital shadow. He proved that a man's ultimate boundary is his absolute willingness to exit an uncalibrated arrangement without needing a confession to validate his choice. The ninth major realization is the mirage of the shared device. Sometimes, an unfaithful partner will attempt to smooth over your suspicions by offering to let you use her old phone or suggesting a shared tablet for the house. This is a sophisticated psychological distraction technique. By giving you open access to a secondary, clean device, she satisfies your desire for transparency while maintaining her secret connection on her primary, highly guarded phone. She creates an illusion of openness to disarm your natural instincts. The sovereign man is never blinded by these superficial concessions. He does not evaluate a person's honesty by the access they grant to their secondary assets. He evaluates it by the consistency of their behavior across the entire landscape of the relationship. We must also dismantle the prison of constant surveillance. Many relationship coaches will tell you that if your partner has compromised your trust through her phone habits, the solution is to install tracking software, share passwords permanently, and check each other's locations throughout the day. This is a blueprint for psychological destruction. It turns a partnership into a correctional facility where you are the unpaid warden. You spend your limited cognitive energy monitoring maps, analyzing timestamps, and hunting for hidden profiles, completely ignoring the fact that a loyalty that must be policed is not loyalty at all. It is just compliance under duress. The sovereign man refuses to live as a detective. If a relationship requires him to compromise his mental clarity to ensure his partner's fidelity, he recognizes that the union has already lost its economic and emotional validity. Furthermore, behavioral observations suggest that a woman who uses her phone to escape the reality of your home is a woman who has already built her future bridge. The constant typing, the hidden smiles, and the immediate silencing of notifications are the physical rehearsals of an exit strategy. She is using the digital landscape to test the waters of a single life or a new connection while using your household as a stable platform to fund her exploration. Do not allow your protective nature to be used to stabilize a person who is actively constructing a life outside your borders. The final psychological evolution is the transition from asking, "What is she hiding on her phone?" to stating, "I no longer care to find out." This is the definitive mark of a sovereign mind. You stop looking for clues, you stop checking the screen when she leaves the room, and you stop analyzing her micro-expressions. You accept that her choice to maintain a digital perimeter against you is a declaration of her true status in the relationship. You do not try to force her to open the vault. You simply close the gate to your own emotional capital, step into the light of your own mission, and build a life that is so focused on physical performance, financial strength, and mental clarity that the digital games of a divided partner become completely invisible to your horizon. The reality is that you cannot build a transparent future with a partner who treats her device as an active shield against your reality. If the glass screen has become an emotional wall in your living room, stop trying to peek over the top. Step away from the wall, secure your own borders, and design a life where loyalty is handled in the open air, not hidden behind a passcode. I have a smart, reflective question for the men who are watching their partners hide their screens while trying to convince themselves that everything is fine. If you were running a high-security operation that required absolute alignment between the team members, and your co-pilot insisted on encrypting all their communications, changing their security clearances weekly, and turning their monitors away whenever you walked into the cockpit, would you spend the flight trying to guess their password, or would you immediately land the aircraft, remove them from the mission, and fly into the future with someone who doesn't treat your presence as a security threat? Drop a comment below and share your sovereign insight. What was the exact moment you realized that her private space was actually a secret vault for an external connection? How did your life transform the second you stopped trying to audit her device and started upgrading your own empire? Let the Brotherhood know how you spotted the digital boundary shift before it cost you your peace of mind. Your experience is the navigation guide for the next man currently sitting in the shadow of a hidden screen. Let's build the Council of Sovereign Men together. If you're still here, you weren't just watching. You were paying attention. That means you're done with noise and ready for clarity. If that's you, subscribe and stay connected to this space. Drop a comment with what stood out. I read them. Stay grounded. Stay aware. I'll see you in the next one.